Scenarios and role plays reflection. Before I begin my reflection and explaining what I have learned, I will give you some background. I did not have anyone I could do this activity with, so I read alone the scenarios I was provided. So with that in mind, let's begin. The main thing that we learned about is compassionate communication. Compassionate communication relies on a set of deliberate and empathetic techniques. Some of these techniques include the following. First, let's look at active listening. Active listening involves using body language and pauses to show full attention, allowing the speaker to finish without interruption. Next, empathy statements. An empathy statement is naming the emotion the person is experiencing without minimizing it. This validates their feelings and acknowledges the weight of their experiences, such as saying, "It sounds like you've been carrying a lot of heavy emotions," or "That must be really frustrating." Non-judgmental stance and language. In order to do this, we need to avoid using labels, such as weak, failing, lazy, overreacting, or too emotional. This reassures the person that their struggle does not reflect a character flaw or lack of capability. Validation and support. This can also be called or known as empowerment. This is reinforcing that a person's feelings are valid and that they are not alone in their experiences. This shifts the focus to collaboration and problem solving, showing that support and a different approach are available. So going back to the scenarios that I did read, I plotted down the takeaway from it, the main idea. So for the nurse and patient scenario that I read, the person sharing the struggle was feeling not myself, frustrated, crying easily, and embarrassed after surgery. The compassionate response validates the unexpected emotion after a medical event are normal and not a sign of weakness, then offers to discuss support. And then the teacher and student, the person sharing a struggle, was feeling overwhelmed and stuck with assignments, fearing that they would be seen as lazy. The compassionate response was to reject the label lazy and state that struggling means a different approach is needed, and then offers to work together on strategies. And I just thought this was really, really good. This type of communication is vital because it moves past the surface level issue to address the underlying emotional struggle, reinforcing the person's worth and capability before moving towards the solution. And the major takeaway from the scenarios and role play is that effective and compassionate communication relies on validation, non-judgmental support, and active listening, like we stated before, to help individuals feel safe, respected, and empowered when they are struggling. So to summarize it all up, I put in the main core lessons that I learned, and it is more repetition of just what we just learned, but it's very important to compassionate communication. Validation is key. The most important move is to validate the speaker's feelings and assure them that they are not alone in their experience. Rejecting labels. Compassionate communication deliberately avoids judgmental labels like lazy, weak, or overreacting. Instead, it refrains from the struggle as a solvable problem, requiring a different approach. Active listening as a foundation. All effective responses begin with active listening, using body language and silence to ensure that the speaker feels truly heard before the responder offers any input. Empowerment. The approach that will always conclude with empowerment, shifting the focus from problems to collaboration and support to find a manageable solution. As I look back on all that I've learned and all that, the different scenarios that I read, it made me think about the times in my life when I could have used this information and I could have had a better communication and more compassionate communication. And as I am concluding this, I just wanted to say that I believe that compassionate communication is so vital for success.